How should I screen tenants for rental houses? This is one of the most frequent things people ask me. Finding a tenant and then screening them scares people. It shouldn't. I'll write a post and share my application process in the future. For now, just know that I screen people before meeting with them and walking them through a vacant rental house. What do I look for when screening tenants? Long-term behavior and thinking. The most expensive thing to me as a landlord is having a vacancy. I am losing out on rent, and I need to have the house fixed up. So, I look for track records, especially with jobs and rental history. Next, think how to screen tenants like you as if you are lending them money, because that is essentially what you are as a landlord, a lender. Check out the full details by visiting the link in the description. How to screen a tenant, the 5 C's. In lending, there are the 4 C's: credit, collateral, capacity, and character. I never had a checklist I followed. I just looked at those 4 things. There's also a 5th C that I heavily weight: communication. Communication. More than anything, I screen tenants on their ability to communicate with me. My thought process was, and always is, simple. If they can't communicate with me when they want something from me, and we are on good terms, then how can I expect them to communicate with me when there are problems? I want tenants that tell me they are going to be late. I waive the late fees when they do. Unpredictability leads to stress. Strive for predictability. I'm comfortable if a tenant is predictably late and lets me know. Collateral. This doesn't really come into play other than icing on the cake. If they have assets or money in the bank, then it's easier to collect a judgment if needed. It's also more likely that they will pay on time if the asset is in the bank and isn't a car. Capacity. What is their capacity to pay? Credit. I do look at credit. I use Experian Connect, but not because I care about their credit. It's because I want to see if their story lines up with their reality. If they tell me their credit is bad, I ask why. Then when we pull it, I see if it lines up. It's more about character than it is credit. Some of my best tenants have had the worst credit. Character. Do they seem like a good person? Does their story make sense? Was there anything inconsistent with what they told me and what my homework shows? I also use free sites to look at court records. Oftentimes, it's just Googling your state's name and CaseNet. If I saw any landlord actions, I would really quiz the tenant on it. We are innocent until proven guilty. But why was the relationship bad enough that the landlord filed a case? Communication between landlord and tenant should cut off many problems. Not always, of course, but that's why court cases that were resolved before court date are red flags for me and not deal breakers. I ask a lot of questions from court cases. I call the prior landlord and ask basic questions. Early on, I caught on that the tenant can be their friend's name and phone number as their landlord. So before calling the landlord, I look up that the name of the landlord is the same as the owner. If it isn't, I ask questions. I also ask the tenant to email me from their work email. For most jobs, the tenant has a work email. The easiest way to determine if they are employed where they say they are is to send an email from their work account. Before we continue with the video, take a quick moment to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications so you never miss out on our latest updates. Plus, we've got some helpful resources in the description. Check them out and share your comments after you're done watching. Does it make sense to rent to this person? Analyzing the entire picture is what matters. See if their story makes sense. Ask a lot of questions. I look at income, credit, rental history, communication, etc. Treat the person like a person. Understand their story. I also really focus on efficiency in everything I do. Early on, I realized that I was wasting timing walking unqualified people through vacant houses. It was such a waste of time. Oftentimes, there were no shows, and even when the people showed up, they would end up being unqualified. So I started asking many questions and screening people before walking them through. This was so valuable. It stopped wasting my time. It also stopped wasting prospects' time. Bottom line. If you want to know how to screen tenants, just ask questions and then verify the answers. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Also, don't forget the link in the description.